Pushing the conversation. We're the ones who started this whole Fridays for the Future event. We're the ones who started the Fight for 15, Standing Rock, Me Too, March for Our Lives, mutual aid efforts, and many more. We know what we need to do. We know that we need to change. We know that the ones here, all of us, coming into power are gonna shake everything up, just like we already have and will continue to do so. And so moments like this give me hope.
It wasn't until several years after fleeing Syria that I learned that one of the factors that caused the instability in Syria was climate change. Even here around me, I can't seem to escape the effects of climate change. My home city of Revere is one of the most vulnerable communities to sea level rise in the Gulf of Maine. Our lives and our communities are on the line. We don't have the privilege to sit down and wait. This is important if you care about frontline communities. There are climate policy bills in the Massachusetts State House right here, right now. Sitting in desks not being passed. They're just not doing anything about it. They say we want to do this. They didn't do anything. We're outlining the actions. We have bills on the table. We demand that our lives be seen as equally valuable. Pass these bills. Why is it so hard?
Today we stand on a square, the space on this day rallying for the climate frontline. What does rallying for the climate frontline mean? It means rejecting the generational denial that wraps the force of Blackness and Indigenous people. It means recognizing that we stand without the threat of violence from the police, where in June 2020, protesters fighting for Black lives were brutalized, arrested, and herded like subhumans. This is important to make these ties amongst violence and the lack of it, and the purpose of actions that are not threatened by them. The them that is the police state that settles on these stolen lands, which threatens those most at risk. And that is the pretense of today. Those at risk, who are descendants of those colonized and enslaved, and who feel the prolonged consequences that is white America's history in this country. Until we are all safe, climate justice cannot be achieved. Climate justice is simply an extension to the overdue justice this country must give to those it has wronged. Today, I stand with my fellow members of the Massachusetts Youth Climate Coalition and the larger climate movement to demand an end to this rage, an end to the rage of standing on stolen land that has been abused and exploited, and to instead work towards visions of reparations, of freedom and liberation, an end to the climate catastrophe for which we have made specific policy demands, and I hope legislators are listening this time, because today I walk away from this 400-year limbo of rage. Black bodies should not be driven by rage. We deserve more. We deserve worlds where we don't have to occupy places to make space for ourselves, because all places are spaces for us already. And so I leave you with this. Let liberation and the beauty of a free world drive you to fight.
Right now, we are standing in the gap, leading in this great fight we call justice. During 2020 and 2021, just as climate organizers, supporters, activists, leaders in our community mobilized to support the bills and policies that would bring change in this country. But sadly, there are people who don't want that change. We must fight back and pass this bill. I'm calling on the President and Congress to look within their hearts and ask themselves, what is right for the country in order for the future generations to succeed and live? We are talking about lives, human beings. Our lives are at stake as we live and breathe. I have laid it out on the table. All the electeds here, you've been put on notice. You have been put on notice. Because actions speak louder than the words. And we should have people closest to the pain, closest to the power. We must move forward and push for this global bill that can change the world. Thank you.